All right, well, it is 9:01, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. This is being recorded, so I will do a little editing post-production and send this out via YouTube to the masses. There are thousands of followers that we have on the Clinton Regional Development Corporation social media and YouTube page. First, some basic introductions. My name is Andy Sokolovich. I serve as the Vice President of Economic Development for the Clinton Regional Development Corporation. We host these Clinton Region Business Roundtables monthly, really to make sure that our existing industries and businesses, both small and large, are aware of the assets and the agencies and the amazing things that are happening throughout the greater Clinton region. If you're not familiar with the CRDC, we are an economic development organization. We are a bi-state regional organization. We represent 3 communities in Iowa as well as 3 communities in Illinois. I'm excited today to have Chance Kness with us, a member of his team from Clinton County Emergency Management Agency. If you are not familiar and you've been living under a rock, there's a pandemic, right? COVID-19 shut things down. Then we had some civil unrest. Well, the Clinton County Emergency Management Agency really has been at the tip of the spear as far as the dissemination of information to ensure organizations like the CRDC, as well as our business partners, remain involved and informed regarding the pandemic and what they can do moving forward. So without further delay, I would like to introduce Chance Kness. Chance is the director of the Clinton County Emergency Management Agency here in Clinton, Iowa, and he will go ahead and lead us through this presentation. Chance, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, good morning. Thanks, Andy. As introduced, Chance Kness, Emergency Management. First of all, thank you to Andy Skolovit for, first of all, being a good partner through this pandemic and other emergencies, and just being positive and a cheerleader for progress and getting things rolling. So thank you very much. Today I am joined by Nancy Burns on the phone. She may chime in a few times to help out. And also Brian Kenrick, who is a public information officer for emergency management. I think I've lost track of how many years now, Brian. At least I'm thinking 8.
Yeah, probably almost 10.
Well, at least it seems that way, right?
Yeah.
So joined by Brian, and I also see some familiar names on here, including Carolyn Mulholland, who is a Cert member. If I have the correct Carolyn Mulholland, that is, I haven't talked to you this morning.
Yeah.
So certainly when we get to the Cert section, please feel free to chime in with your experience.
Absolutely.
Excellent, thank you. So hopefully everyone can hear me all right. I am going to share my screen this morning and walk through some things that I think are of interest, some tools that are out there that we use and that you can use, and some opportunities. So hopefully you can hear me just fine, and we'll try the screen sharing here. All right, so first off, you should be seeing our Facebook page. Hopefully our vehicles are showing up there. Andy?
No, it looks good, sir. Just popped up.
Very good. I'm going to be jumping around some different websites and windows. I just want to say that we do a lot of posting of what's going on in terms of emergencies and severe weather, and of course recently COVID on our Facebook page. So you'll see that Nancy posted this morning that there's a severe weather potential for our area this afternoon and evening, I think between 6 and 9 p.m. for most of our area. And so great place to subscribe to and get information from us, usually pretty timely information. You'll notice our vehicles there. If you see those around town, that's who we are. The Seattle Seahawks colors were accidental. That was not on purpose. I'm not a fan, just of football in general. But anyway, that's us if you see us. We're an office of 3 full-time people, but we have a few registry individuals that do our radiological upkeep for nuclear plant preparedness. We have a couple of part-time PIOs. That's Eric Van Lanker, the county auditor, and Brian McHenrick, who's on with you today. And we also have, last count, I believe, 71 volunteers through our Cert program. So quite an organization there. We also administer the medical examiner investigator program for Clinton County. And that, I think at last count, we had 10 medical examiner investigators and 9 drivers and a van that we maintain for that. So quite a large organization when you add all of that in. We are a commission. We are intended to service all of Clinton County equally, including every incorporated city and the non-incorporated areas. So we work for 16 individuals, the mayors of each incorporated city in Clinton County, the sheriff, and 1 representative from the board of supervisors. So 16 bosses, 16 folks to keep happy. That's our basic organization. Now, talking about what we do, that's a deep subject. It took me weeks to sit down and look at everything we do, and it's quite a long list. You should be seeing a list now, and we're not going to go through there one at a time because it's a little too long. But we do emergency and disaster training. We do emergency and disaster planning. We set up exercises and participate in exercises to prepare for emergencies. We respond to the mid-level of emergencies and disasters in Clinton County. So not like your house fire or your car accident, but the apartment fire, the tornado, the flood, that kind of thing. And we do quite a bit in terms of citizen preparedness with the help of our community emergency response team. We issue a lot of alert and warning notices through several platforms we'll discuss. And we maintain the Emergency Operations Center for Clinton County. We just moved into the new Law Center in March, just a few days before the pandemic started in Clinton County. And it's a good thing. That large new space has been very good for us. So let's talk about our training a little bit. We offer Stop the Bleed training. Dan Howard with our office, our operations officer, takes the lead on that for us and coordinates with nursing staff from the hospital and paramedics from the fire departments to offer Stop the Bleed training, trying to get tools and training out there to stop these preventable losses of life. And we also provide quite a bit of run, hide, fight training. That's individual response to active shooter, active killer events. We typically do that a couple times a month, either presentation or up to hands-on full-scale experiences for those citizens. Some of those programs have been on hold because of the pandemic, and we haven't quite opened them up yet. Some things like Stop the Bleed, we could open up now and start offering those again, but Run, Hide, Fight would just be a presentation for now. It'd be hard for us to do the hands-on scenarios. So, folks, feel free to ask questions about any of these things I'm talking about. I'm going relatively quickly. I don't want to bore anybody, and I want to keep it moving. But certainly, if you have something that you're very interested in, and I cover a little bit of it, you want more, certainly let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chance. And if you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, there is a little icon down towards the bottom of your screen. If you scroll down, it looks like a conversation bubble. You can click on that and actually place your question in a chat room, and then I'll be sure to direct that towards Chance.
Excellent. All right. Let's see here. So we offer a wide range of training and coordination of training for law enforcement, fire, on topics including search and rescue, incident command, and a large variety of other things depending on what's of interest and what's the need at the time. Planning, we are responsible for maintaining emergency plans for the entirety of the county. Every year we do hazardous materials planning, get that out to all the emergency responders. We do a comprehensive plan and a mitigation plan, all of which are necessary to keep Clinton County eligible for FEMA and Homeland Security funding. So anytime you see where fire department, law enforcement department, secondary roads, whoever got either disaster funds or pre-disaster funds, post-disaster funds, that's because we kept the county in compliance and available to get those funds. In terms of exercises, we've done a few full-scale active shooter exercises in the last few years, including at Lyondell, at ADM, at the elementary school out in DeWitt. These are extremely complex and time-consuming exercises. And then another compliance piece, we do exercises on a regular basis with the nuclear power station in order to maintain their compliance with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission so that they can run. So that's another economic piece that we are a part of, making sure that they are eligible to keep running. They give us a small amount of funding in order to allow that. And then response, we somewhat touched on that before, kind of the mid-level events. We want to be out there supporting our responders, helping them with some complex things that go beyond the capability of dispatch to handle. And then if it becomes a very large event, we move our operations into the Emergency Operations Center, currently located at the Law Center, and bring our partners from various public and private agencies in here to work that large problem. One of our other big tasks is alert and warning. We do that in a couple of different ways. If you look on your screen now, you should see our main page of our emergency management page under Clinton County. Includes our Clinton County emergency notification system. So I encourage everybody to go in there and sign up. We've got a guide on how to sign up there. But if you, whoops, sorry. Let's see. Sign up there. You can sign up multiple phone numbers, emails. We suggest that you use text. The voice type of alerting takes a long time and is less reliable, and that's a technology issue amongst all the various companies that provide that. You're automatically opted in to get severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings under that, but you have all sorts of other options for what kind of warnings and the area you want to receive them for. The warning in red there is important. Whatever you sign up to, you're going to get those alerts when they're issued. So if they issue a flash flood warning in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, your phone's going to go off with that warning. So don't choose let's see, a freeze warning or something like that if you don't want to be warned in the middle of the night. We get lots of people that unsubscribe because they don't want to get these in the middle of the night. And then also we maintain the outdoor warning sirens. This is something that's a source of confusion amongst many of our citizens. So I'm clicking on the brochure we have here. Let's see here. All right, so we test these every first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. in conjunction with communications. These can be set off for any hazard, and the same tone, that 3-minute steady tone, applies to all emergencies. We do set them off for tornadoes and for severe thunderstorms if that severe thunderstorm includes 70-mile-an-hour or greater winds, or golf ball sized hail or larger. The reason for that is 70-mile-an-hour winds, that's EF0 going up close to an EF1 tornado, and it really doesn't matter whether that's going in a circle or going straight. It's still the same hazard to life safety. And then that golf ball sized hail is when it starts breaking windows, starts being a hazard inside your home, and we feel like everyone needs to be aware of that. The sirens in general, they're a blunt instrument. We try to focus them down as much as possible, but we're setting off a large area of the county with sirens all at once. And so it's meant for people who are outside to make them aware that they need to go inside and find out what's going on. If you can't hear it in your house, that's okay. That's not the way it's designed to be. You need to have regular TV radio or a weather radio for the inside of your house warning. It'd be very cost prohibitive for us to put enough sirens up throughout Clinton County that anyone could hear that in their home with the windows shut and the air conditioning running.
Yeah, Chance, this is Andy. I will just totally agree that signing up for the text message alerts has been extremely beneficial for me, not only as a parent who has children that play sports, but also I like getting those notifications. I'm somewhat of a weather geek myself, so I like to be in the know. And I will say that the Tuesday testing has thrown a lot of people for a loop, especially visitors that we have within the community. So I always tell them it's Tuesday. That's why the siren's going off. So you don't need to duck and cover. You're okay.
Well, and that's actually part of the nuclear plant preparedness. The sirens in the city of Clinton, Comanche, Lowmore areas, and rural just outside are actually owned and operated by Exelon for their compliance. And the Illinois schedule is 10 a.m. on the first Tuesday. Most of Exelon's plants are in Illinois, and therefore that's why we follow that same schedule, and it's part of their mandate to have those regular tests. Any other questions about sirens or the Alert Iowa before I move on?
I'm not seeing any in the chat, so I think you can continue. Again, I just encourage everybody to register to receive those text messages.
Okay. All right, so let's turn our attention to COVID for a minute. There's still plenty of regular emergency management things I want to talk about, but we've been dealing with COVID for over 3 months now. I believe we started around March 13th with Emergency Operations Center opening up to handle that particular threat. In a normal disaster, which is an odd pairing of words, I know, but we usually put a lot of people in this big room to work on a problem, but with COVID, that really wasn't a good option for us. So we worked with our county IT and we set up a virtual emergency operations center through a resource called Slack. And we've been sharing with partners across Clinton County throughout the entire event. Let's see here. Various proclamations and things that have come out, tools, resources that are available, and then requests for resources. So I'm going to go back here. If you haven't been tracking what you want to know, this coronavirus.iowa.gov page has most of the information you need. They update this as it comes in. It usually lags a little bit behind actual, but it's pretty close. So if you log into here and click on the individual positive cases, you'll get a map. We're currently listed at 83 there. I do believe we're up to 85 cases. And we've seen a uptick in cases this past week. We'd seen very few new cases for quite a few weeks, and now I believe 17 new in the last about a week now. So part of our role in this has been information sharing, making sure everybody has the information they need as soon as we can. Nancy has been pivotal with that, getting emails out to our various groups. We've also been tasked with sourcing personal protective equipment for a wide-ranging group during this emergency. We've had a lot of shortages, and we've had to be very creative with where we get those pieces of equipment. So, for instance, when gowns were not available for healthcare, we found some out of, I believe, North Dakota that were made by a weather balloon company. We found face shields that were made by a solar panel company. And we actually partnered with Scott County very early on and the distillery down in LeClaire to make hand sanitizer when that wasn't available. Our volunteers here have printed mask straps, keep masks off the ears of responders with 3D printers. Some of those donated, the use of those donated. And even something called a Montana mask that helps us to extend the supply of N95 masks, which have been and continue to be in short supply. So it's been very interesting that way, trying to find those resources as we go through the various cycles of shortages. And we are still seeing some shortages. Gloves seem to be the next shortage, the medical gloves, and who knows what's next. So just a word about how to survive any hazard. I've been involved in radiological preparedness since before I came to Clinton County. Always taught time, distance, and shielding to prevent, to limit exposure and prevent contamination by radiation. But I like to say that that's how you avoid any hazard. So whether it's somebody shooting at you, or whether it's the common cold or the coronavirus, time, distance, and shielding are the ways to think about keeping yourself safe. So the less time you are around the hazard, the less likely you're going to be injured or killed. The more distance you can get between yourself and the hazard, the less likely for that injury, and the use of shielding. So in terms of radiation, we're talking about getting away from it, putting concrete or lead or dirt or whatever between you and the source of that radiation. With coronavirus, we're talking about less than 15 minutes of close contact. Keeping your distance 6 feet or more, and shielding can be the mask that you wear. And I've yet to find a hazard where this doesn't apply, time, distance, and shielding. Right, so let's see here. Brian, do you have anything to add from the public information standpoint or recovery standpoint with COVID?
I would just add, and this goes with any emergency, as a public information officer, our focus is on getting accurate information out to the public as quickly and responsibly as possible. So it's gathering all of that information and making sure that the public remains informed. So it'd be a good idea to follow Clinton County Emergency Management on Facebook and take advantage of some of those tools so that you have the most up-to-date information at your disposal because you'll get it straight from us.
All right, thanks, Brian. And just a word on recovery. In disaster management, we are always taught to start thinking about recovery very soon after the emergency starts. So this is not our typical emergency. Unprecedented is a word that's being used a lot these days. But recovery is still a important component, and organizations like the CRDC are a absolutely pivotal part of that type of recovery. We're talking about an economic recovery, and I encourage all of you to think about this pandemic as an opportunity to strengthen areas that need to be strengthened and to position ourselves so that we can come out of this pandemic in a stronger place. To think about advertising Clinton County as a place where we're doing good. This is the middle ground that companies want to be in, where you're not in such a large area that you're overly affected by an emergency like this, but you still have all of the basic building blocks and resources you need to do your business. And also to think about the changing dynamics of the world. There is a great need to bring manufacturing back into the United States for our resilience. There is not enough stockpiling that can be done to prepare for another pandemic. We can't keep enough resources on hand and available. What we need is the ability to manufacture, produce those items and resources ourselves locally or at least within the United States so that we're not reliant on other parts of the world.
Yeah, Chance, real quick, we did have a question come into the chat box here. Megan Borchers of Alliant did ask, what is something you've learned during the pandemic from an EMA perspective? Excuse me, Lyondell. Megan Borchers from Lyondell.
Well, we've learned a lot. Some of it doesn't apply to anything other than this situation, but as I just said, we need our own resources locally to produce these things. And sometimes it's on the micro scale, like having 3D printers and being able to make our own supplies, or our fantastic volunteers who've been making homemade masks when masks were not available for purchase. There's a whole group called the Mask Task Force that's been working with us for months. These people using their sewing machines at home and donating their time and materials to keep people safe. What a wonderful thing to have that. So finding out that we do have a lot of resourcefulness, being able to make materials out of unconventional things. We found that out, and the need for that comes from the fact that we've always planned for emergencies with the notion that all I had to do was wait a few days and help would come from the next county or the next state or from federal, or at the worst case from another country. But when everyone is in the same emergency needing the same things at the same time, we learn very quickly that those resources aren't coming, that help is not coming, and we are reliant upon ourselves and our neighbors alone. So, that's been quite eye-opening, the need to have capabilities and capacities and resources locally, and not being able to rely on the state or federal government for everything we need.
Yeah. And kind of in the same vein, before we get into the Cert side of your presentation, we did have a question that came in via email prior to the start of this webinar. What can companies do to share best practices amongst each other? The CRDC manages an HR task force, and that group has proved to be priceless in sharing of information. As Nancy herself sends me things, I then go and disseminate it out to the HR task force, and they start communicating by replying all. But is there a way that we can work closely together as a county moving forward so companies can share their best practices, their protocols, or their steps to mitigate the continued spread of specifically COVID moving forward?
Thanks, Andy. So first of all, thank you for disseminating information as we got it to businesses that work with you. We have a group called CPAP. It's the Clinton County Emergency Planning and Preparedness. We meet the third Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. Member sirens are the first Tuesday at 10 a.m., CPAP third Tuesday at 10 a.m. And that's a group that we've been co-chairing with Clinton County Public Health since 2007, I believe. And the purpose of that group is to share information about current events, emergency planning and preparedness, training that's available, policies and procedures, all of those things. As a part of that meeting, we typically do a what if it happened here segment where we talk about a emergency that's happened here or a disaster that's happened somewhere else in the country that could happen here, and to say, what can we do to be prepared for that hazard? What can we do if it happens to help each other out? Give a little tabletop exercise on that thing. We've been using that group throughout the pandemic to share information. So Nancy sends out emails to them on a regular basis about flooding and weather and various other items throughout the month. But we've been sharing pandemic information through that route as well. That is open to all organizations in Clinton County. And if anybody's interested or knows somebody that might be interested, Nancy will put them on the email list and get you invited to the meetings and get you those emails. Currently, I do know that Skyline, Ann Borman is the representative from Skyline. You can have multiple representatives. And Bruce Ferguson, I think, is the Lyondell representative currently. But again, you can have multiple CPAP representatives. Very good. Thanks for sharing that information there, Andy. I went after the medical designation of keeping the airway open with CPAP, continuous pressure. Anyway, if anybody's interested, please let us know. And then I'll get.
Can I step in for a minute, Chance? This is Nancy. Andy, go ahead and feel free to share my email address with your group. And if anybody is interested, they can certainly email me and we can get you in on that group. Okay?
Perfect. I do have your email address in the chat. So anybody that's interested can go ahead and just ask the chat room, and I will send it out following this presentation as well.
Thank you.
And just to step back into recovery before Chance continues on with the Cert segment, recovery from coronavirus, what we've seen across all industries is an incredible amount of market disruption. And to be able to position your business or, in our world, our public organizations, position us in a way to come out of this stronger than when we went in, it really provides an opportunity because you're not the only one, we're not the only ones that are going through this disruption. So it's making sure that your organization, whether it's a company or public agency, is centered on its mission, messaging based on that mission, and finding your key strengths as an organization and promoting those. That helps no matter whether you're public or private. And so I think that'll be really important. And to your point about having an organization on best practice sharing, to do that collectively as a community could be beneficial as well. Obviously, each business has its own key market to focus on, but if we can do it in a more coordinated way as a whole community, we can come out of this even stronger together. So I think that maybe having a more formalized work group centered on that and thinking about those ways to come out of this stronger for your business will be really critical to our success as a community.
Thanks, Brian. Totally agree. So Chance, in the kind of just as a great lead in to community engagement, do you want to share a little bit of information regarding your CERT team?
Absolutely. So hopefully you're seeing our CERT team page on our website. Here you can find our volunteer enrollment form and release of information. We do have to do a background check through the sheriff's office for our CERT members. Given some of those missions that we do, like evidence search or damage assessment, we have to make sure we're using appropriate individuals for those tasks. However, we will give that training to anybody who meets the very basic qualifications anyway. They just may not be eligible to join the team after the training. So we did have training scheduled for May of this year. Certainly COVID did away with that training. We try to have it every year, sometime in the spring, winter, spring. But for individuals who are interested, we will put people on as a provisional member until we have training available. So if you're interested, you can sign up at any time by filling out those two forms there.
And Chance, I do think if, not to cut you off, but if Carolyn Mahalan is still on the line. I don't know if she's there or not, but maybe she can provide a testimonial from an active CERT team member.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
So I've been on the team almost 2 years, and it's very rewarding. You meet a very diverse group of individuals. I've made some great friendships. Everybody brings something to the team. Everybody has their expertise. Anybody can volunteer. It doesn't matter how old you are. I've learned a lot, and I feel great giving back to our community and supporting our community. And I'm always constantly recruiting. I just think it's a great team.
Yeah, she got me to join. so she's good at what she does, and it also looks good on a resume too for you that are looking for professional development. Somebody who is former military, this type of thing always looked well on a resume or when we went up for quarterly or annual awards. So it definitely gives back to the county, gives back to your community, and it's well worth the investment of your time and energy.
And what interests me about the program, Chance and his team actually came into the Alverno, and we did a tabletop exercise with our leadership team, and it was very intriguing, and he talked about their CERT team, and that's when I decided to join.
Very good. Thanks, Carolyn. Chance, back to you.
Yes, thank you both. So, in this training, we do give a local spin on CERT training, but most of it is with the national curriculum, and the skills are portable, and there are CERT team groups all over the United States. It started in California after earthquakes, and then migrated to Florida with hurricanes, and then became a nationwide program. So if you have somebody that's a young person that's going to go off to college and maybe go somewhere else, it's not a waste to take this. This is a portable skill set, and there are teams elsewhere. The basic training that we do includes some small firefighting and first aid. It's disaster first aid. If you look there, we're using a cardboard box as a splint. We're using things that you find in your house or in a disaster to deal with that emergency. We do a little bit of search and rescue and triage. We talk about terrorism. We do the run, hide, fight curriculum. Quite a lot of different things are touched on in that training about disasters and emergencies. And then we again, not during COVID, then we meet monthly and do some sort of refresher training or a more advanced skill. And we've used that team for a very wide variety of things, including search for missing persons, search for evidence with police departments, traffic and access control for presidential visits or for parades, for various damage assessment after tornadoes and floods. We've used them to help us in the Emergency Operations Center with documentation and with logistics. We have volunteers coming in today to help us put together personal protective equipment packages to send out to nursing homes, fire departments, various other partners. So, we're always needing their help. We're always using their help. I think so far, maybe Nancy can voice this, just in the last 3 months, how many hours approximately have they put in?
Our volunteers have put in 1,482 hours since March 16th, and they have driven 1,527 miles in the county delivering PPE and resources to our partners.
So you can see, our office of 3 people can't do that. I estimate before COVID operations started here, the 3 full-timers here, we probably were putting in 140 hours or so a week. We surged up to almost 500 hours a week for a little while with 6 volunteers working almost full time in here and 7-day operations. We just don't have the ability to do all of that ourselves. So certainly encourage folks to join up. It's up to you what kinds of missions you help us with, and it's also up to you how many hours of assistance you give to us. And there is a wide variety of things we do.
And this is Nancy. I just wanted you all to know I was a member of the CERT team for 5.5 years before I became full-time in the EMA office. And as Chance and Carolyn both said, there is a variety of things you can do. Some people think, oh, it's just search and I'm not physically able to do that. Don't ever let that hold you back, because we have a lot of different skill sets we need. Not just the physical directing traffic or searching, but we need people who can are computer literate and they can help us, make out tags and register people and keep track of equipment and people during those searches. And there's a whole variety. We have ham radio operators that are on our team. We have people that help with public outreach events, like the Back to School Bash or companies' safety days. Our volunteer members help with those public outreach events. So it's a variety of different skill sets, and you can pick and choose which parts interest you. And as they both said, your level of commitment is whatever works best for you. We have some people that like to train on pretty much everything and help with every event, and then other people have certain interests and they help with just those. So it's a variety. So don't feel that holds you back because maybe searching is not one of your skill sets. That's all I have for right now.
Thanks, Nancy.
Great. So, Andy, I think that covers my prepared comments so far. I really didn't imagine using this much of the hour.
Never do. Never do.
So I'm open to questions from you or from the group.
And we don't have any questions. You can go ahead and stop sharing your screen. If you'd like to, just press that same button there. Should be stop share, just so my face isn't taking up the whole thing. But no, we don't have any questions in the chat room. Again, I've been a huge fan of EMA since I moved to Clinton County. I've worked with Chance and his team just, again, mainly during COVID, back and forth, the sharing of critical information to our existing industries. Again, communication is key to our success. It greases the gears. It's something that we have to continue to maintain. I know Brian McHenrick and Eric Van Lanker have been amazing assets as PIOs, and one day I hope to join your group as well. So it's exciting, and I just encourage everybody who's been on this call today to reach out to Chance if you don't know what they offer and they can support your business, or reach out to Nancy. And then obviously a call to action to join the CERT team. Clinton County is an amazing county and an amazing state supporting an amazing region. So we have to make sure that they're able to continue the jobs that they've been tasked with and meet their mission head on. So if there's no further questions, I will go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much to Chance, Brian, and Nancy. Please reach out to me if you have any questions as well. Our next Clinton Region Clinton Region Business Roundtable, we changed it, will be the 4th Friday of July, and we will have a representative from the state of Iowa talking about Future Ready Iowa, so our advanced plan to grow and develop our workforce in the state. So again, that will take place on the 4th Friday of July. You'll get an invitation that comes out from the Clinton Regional Development Corporation's office, specifically me. That's it. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.